Welcome back. Welcome back to the Detroit is Different podcast studios. And in session is a returning guest. Someone, when we think about like Detroit is Different, always tying in the Detroit culture, legacy black culture. It's one of my OGs that's been at it for a long time, doing it and delivering it best. David Humphries, Hump the Grinder from Hair Wars. How are you today?
I'm doing good, Kerry.
Yeah, man. So it's been a minute. You were one of my original guests.
Oh yeah.
Maybe like year one or something, man. We did that way back over at Pony Ride when I was doing like shorter interviews with people. But you were like my first longer interview.
Okay.
But
it was a pleasure.
Yeah, man, definitely, man. I've built up different chops, and I got a couple other questions to ask. But just so that people know, Hair Wars, the experience that y'all saw from Black Mafia Family Season 2, is a big part of Detroit culture. It was so cool just seeing you on stage and everything.
Yeah, they brought me back to the late 80s.
they took you back in the feel and the essence of it all. But like here, it keeps going, man. 2024, July 20th, I'm going to be there with my tickets. You're going to see me at Hair Wars. This is going to be fun, man. This is going to be at the Artist Village. And you've done it so many different places. I mean, you've traveled almost every venue I can think of. You've been doing Hair Wars.
Been around in the city and other cities as well. But Detroit is the home base. We're the hair capital, so we got to keep it alive here.
Yeah, so let's kind of have this discussion classic style, because now I got like more of my chops. You were here before then.
Okay.
Your people in your family, man. How many generations deep are you in the city of Detroit? When did your family get to the G?
1955.
Okay.
Now we took about a 4-year break, went to New York City, came back.
Okay.
In 63. And basically, we didn't have any cousins in Detroit, no relatives at all. I mean, my father and my mother just started this city. Just started the generations of Humphreys here.
Where did you guys come from?
Chicago.
Oh,
Both my parents from Chicago, South Side.
Okay, the South Side.
Yeah.
All right.
So I got a lot of relatives, a lot of them still there. Some of them moved off, but big family.
All right, because, Chicago is almost like a, I always consider that like a cousin city to Detroit. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
4 hours.
Yeah.
3.5, you drive fast.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Don't be driving too fast on 94 West. All right. So with that whole concept, man, and you said they just settled here just because of what was it that brought them to Detroit? Okay.
Yeah. My father was working with the Boy Scouts, and then went to Harlem, came back to Detroit. But he ended up doing other things, different things. We ended up having the sports show.
Okay.
Speaking of sports, he was the first sports show in Detroit. Started around 75.
Oh, interesting.
On Channel 62.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So he broke away, and I got into the media a little bit. I was like his photographer. One of his photographers to shoot pictures on the events. Pistons, line, access to all the sporting games. So that was cool. I was going to Oakland University at the time. But I would come in and work with him and learned a lot about the media, met a lot of people.
So let's talk a little bit about your dad in sportscasting. Did he have history in broadcasting, or was it just one of those things where he just
it was one of the things he see the need for it. A lot of sports going on, local sports in Detroit, a lot of neighborhood things going on. He was the director of the Boys Club on Collingwood in Petoskey back in the day, the Deal Building, the Boys Club.
Right over there near where the Cubs field is.
Yeah, right there. Yeah, I played with the Cubs, and I played the Boys Club, all baseball.
Sweet red and white.
Oh, yeah, Cubs. Right. Cubs forever, man. Back then it was domination, all the time.
All right, so he ran the Boys and Girls Club.
Well, it wasn't the Girls Club then. It was strictly Boys Club.
Oh, okay. So I see. Little do I know.
It was all strictly Boys Club. The Girls Club came in later. We had already been through and gone from there.
So your dad was running the rec center.
He was the director. Yeah, he was the director of the Boys Club. Yeah.
And we kind of were speaking about the collard green cook-off, because I was like, you were telling me like that Atkinson 14th. I was like, okay, so you was over at Joseph Walker Williams. He was like, hey man, that was after the rebellion.
Yeah.
Not before. So what other rec centers were over there at the time?
Visitation, DePorres. It was called Visitation. It was Catholic school right on 14th and Webb, or 14th and, right around between like Lawrence, Webb, right there by DePorres.
Okay.
High school, they had the rec center, and everybody went there. Had an Olympic swimming pool, had a handball courts, had a bowling alley.
Okay.
Had a lot of stuff over there, and that's where all the kids went.
Okay, so there and then the boys club, and that boys club was like this is like the start because it becomes boys and girls club.
Right.
But it was just the boys club
Just the
then.
boys club then.
And did the Cubs field exist before then? You giving me
Yeah,
some
yeah.
Detroit-
McKay Field was played in a little old cubby hole. We should change that right there on McKay and right there, off Collingwood.
Petoskey and
Collingwood. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay.
West Side Cubs was there.
Okay, because Kim Tandy shared some information about the start
Yeah,
of the
I
Cubs. I'm
remember,
gonna bring
and
her
his
back.
brother Joe was about my age. He was his brother was a little younger, but Joe was my age.
Okay.
Joe was a big guy. I don't know if you know Joe Tandy. That's his older brother.
Okay, all right. So you giving some you filling in more of the Detroit story. That's why I love these Detroit is difference. So your dad was sportscasting around the time you're at Oakland, and this is the start of you that I remember. Check the Detroit is different archives about Hump and his massive system from Oakland University as a DJ that would travel all the other universities. So as you were DJing, you were also into photography. You were doing all types of media.
Well, a few things, I was doing. I was playing basketball with the school too.
Okay.
So I was a sports director of the radio station. Had a radio show on campus, and I was doing parties. Like most of the major parties on the campus. And I met people from other colleges. I knew some that went to those schools, and they would hire me to do their parties, like the Icebreakers and other parties from sororities and fraternities. So I had a good time traveling around. Back in those days, just getting started with doing parties.
So you and your dad and doing photography with your dad.
Yeah.
Where I'm more so interested about this connection and like how did he train himself on broadcast? Because that's like in content creation.
Well, he was a public speaker. He did a lot of speaking, a lot of engagements, and he just went on. He never was on TV with it, but he decided to buy some time. And do speaking of sports.
Oh, so he paid for his own show.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
And it lasted a few years. It was a good show. Then he also did Hazel Park and DRC racing highlights, like results.
Okay.
That was later.
All right. So for people that don't remember, it was a racing track.
Yeah, Hazel Park and in Livonia, Detroit race course.
So those tracks I remember because, not so long, but my Uncle Joe would be at the track sometimes, and people would follow the horses here in and around Detroit, at the time. I mean, it was a minute ago, but it was a culture with it, and your dad, so I'm thinking if this is in the 70s, so this is kind of like where the scene and Nat Morris were doing kind of their things. Who were the people that were the camera people and operators? How did he go about the production side of it?
Well, actually, the production came from GPR staff. Nate McAlpine and the crew over there. So they were using, they had, my father remarried. His wife was a director. She kind of ran the floor. But it was his show, and what they used everybody who worked at WGPR. Facilities, they were part of that show.
So it was on GPR too. So it was like people watch the sports show, then watch the scene. I'm guessing
it was after the scene. Scene come on at 6. He's come on at 7. So it was right behind. That's how I met Nat Morris, being down there so much. Met Mojo, and I used to open up Mojo's party. I was opening DJ for most of his big parties. But I met them all down there, just hanging out with my father. Got a chance to, all the cats, Tiger Dam, Always Marv, back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we definitely got mad love for all of that energy. As another one of my big homies, even though it's a little bit later, with the new dance show of
R.J. Watkins,
Henry RJ Henry.
See, R.J. was the director of the scene, and he would pop them cameras, 3 cameras. I used to go in the booth sometime to watch R.J. work. This dude, he was rhythmic. If you could watch the old scene highlights and you see the cameras popping, that was RJ's work. He would pop them to the beat. And he know how to do it, man.
Hey, even to this day, man, shout out his whole family, the Watkins family, big into if you all want to know some of the connections or me learning and getting experience, it kind of connects there in these family trees. And that's what I love with these interviews.
Yeah, and Nat Morris still works with me on Hair War interviews. He does some of my interviews with the guests that we have on our show. So he's still active. He knows all this new software and stuff. He's still teaching me stuff.
Hey, well, shout out to the real OG. And now you got to connect us because I need him to get in Detroit is different too.
All right.
So So Hair Wars, as we said, it also connected with King Sundiata, something that you all had this constituency. I remember from our last interview, constituency, a group of different hairdressers and also barbers on Mondays really wanted to party. And that party became like such a hype party that it ended up ushering a wave of sometimes people adding this into the parties, which eventually becomes where Hair Wars goes. Can you give us kind of like some of those first stories of those first Hair Wars and how it came about?
Well, the first Hair Wars was in the clubs. I was giving parties. I believe it was probably on a Wednesday night. We stopped the party and we let some of the hairstylists show off some of their styles. Informal. We didn't really have rules and regulations. We would do about 3 or 4. We have 4 weeks. It's scheduled for 4 weeks. I was doing gimmick parties, so hair ended up just being a gimmick or one of my gimmicks. So let's try this for a minute. I got a lot of hairdressers, hairstylists. Well, they call them hairdressers back in the day. Hair designers, they like to be called now. So they wanted to show what they can do. They go to the parties and hang out during the week a lot of times. They on their own schedule. So I had a lot of hair people come to the parties. So I gave them the stage, gave them the dance floor. We had an elevated dance floor. We had like the Cotton Club and Club Elon. And we just let them show their stuff. And then the interest really built from other people, other stylists in the crowd. They wanted to show their hair. There's no platform for hairstylists. If you're not in front of the salon on their front porch, nowhere you're going to see their hair.
Yeah.
So now they got a party, a crowd, clientele that they can tap into and show what they can do. So it kept going. The list got longer. People signed up to do, I want to show my hair. And it went crazy. It got bigger, and we ended up taking it out of the clubs to bigger venues, like the hotels and the showrooms like the Latin Quarter, on Grand Boulevard when it was open.
So let's talk a little bit about that too, and shout out Awesome Dre, because Awesome Dre said that the Latin Quarters was one of the most beautiful places he's ever performed at, and his favorite stage in the Detroit area.
Big bowl. It was huge, man. It's like the perfect place for a show. Back in the day, when I was real little, my father was with the Boy Scouts. We would do take pictures with some of these celebrities, like Sammy Davis, my brother Eric. He took pictures with Sammy Davis Jr. when he came in town. Frank Sinatra. All of them would come to the Grand Quarters, Latin Quarters. I don't know which name they used back then, but Grand Quarters, Latin Quarters, they had both names. But all the big stars would go there. And it was just a beautiful place to perform.
Okay, so in this whole sense, like your dad would be, I'm guessing, to be that close to Sammy, was kind of interconnected to a lot of people doing events and things like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he was an event promoter when he was younger too. He didn't tell me that until after I got older. He never mentioned it. He's like, yeah, me and your mother used to do these shows, Okay. So he was always had his hands in some form of entertainment.
Okay. All right, and you mentioned Harlem for 4 years.
Yeah.
What was Harlem like then, and what era? What year?
I didn't live in Harlem. My father worked in Harlem. We lived in Staten Island.
Okay.
He rode the ferry boat over to Manhattan, uptown, Harlem.
All right.
And he would. We lived in Staten Island. The Verrazano Bridge wasn't built yet, so he had to put the car on the ferry boat
and get over.
And get 35 cents to put that car on there. So yeah, we used to go over to New York a lot. He would take us over there and do things,
What was the feel like? What was the culture like? Because I'm guessing this is like early 60s.
Yeah.
Okay. What do you remember?
I remember it was too crowded. I didn't like it. I had cousins there. Some of my father's family lived in New York. And it was just too congested for me. So like being in the city, man, I was like, everything is tight and crowded and noisy. We used to go down, to Manhattan, the Queens, the Bronx. So he took us everywhere. And it was always congested to me. I remember that.
So then you come back to the D.
I was born in Detroit and then came back to the D. And been here ever since.
All right, and also other things in your story, as people can see, this is not the usual, but like Hump's one of my OGs. I know a lot of his story just because we've been talking for forever. In this same journey as Hair Wars is going, you also had some ties to the original Fresh Fest. If people don't know, like hip hop's Fresh Fest was like the first national concert of hip hop artists.
It was first major tour, 1984. I was doing parties at Detroit Studio 54. Doc Elliott, rest in peace. he brought down Ricky Walker, the promoter of the concert. He says, hey, I got a guy I think would be willing to travel. He was looking for somebody to go on the road. So he came down on like a Saturday night. I was out of town that following Wednesday. I was on the road that quick. I left everything at home. I just dropped it. And I had been down to Studio 54 for at least 4 years, every week, and other parties there too. So I just dropped everything. It was a good opportunity to go on the road as an advanced promoter. Now, they let me spin some shows, like in Detroit. They gave me the stage for about 15 minutes, let me rock Cobo Arena. That was the first Fresh Fest in '84, September. We played at Cobo Arena. The next two, we did 3 years. The next two was at Joe Louis Arena.
Let's talk a little bit about Fresh Fest and how it started, because right now when we think about the origins of hip hop, and last year it was so many different things happening.
Yeah, the 50.
That list of like that Detroiters made that. I made that list, so shout out to those people. But the first thing I was thinking was like, do people know Hump and Fresh Fest and the connection to that?
Well, you know, the Fresh Fest rappers like Houdini, Curtis Blow, Grandmaster Flash, Run DMC, they would always talk about Kool Herc. I had never heard of him because, he was in New York.
Yeah.
He was a New York legend. But they all mentioned Kool Herc, and I didn't know, like, who is this guy? It came out years later when they finally gave him an award, put him on TV at one of the award shows. And then he got some more awards. I said, oh, this is the guy. One of the originators of doing these hip-hop parties in the parks in New York. And it was, like I said, strictly a New York thing. But by the time they came out, they forgot about the guys the ones who really got it going. They had no part of that tour. It was just who was current at the time. The Fat Boys, was one of the hot acts at the time. They would do a lot of promotions. So I would take the groups around, do promotions between cities. We did 62 cities. The first year was 35. Then went to 62.
Well, let's talk about that first year, because this is like for people to know, just like hip hop history too, the inception of it. How was it to sell hip hop as like a new genre, people not knowing what it is, sometimes people not understanding? What was that like?
Okay, it was crazy because most of the people, the corporate people, I'm talking about the radio stations, TV stations, they were scratching their head like, what are you guys trying to do? We have skating rinks for that. Want to do a hip hop show? We got this club. And Ricky Walker was like, hey man, we want the Coliseum, we want the arenas, these 15, 25,000 seat places, and we're filling it up, and that was shocking everybody, man. It was sold out. Most shows were sold out. They were selling pretty easy because it was something new, but the older people couldn't believe that you could make money, make records, bring audiences off of talking over beats. That's not real. They're not artists. They would always dog them out, But then when the show was going on and they seen that energy, man. And then Swatch was the first company used to make watches. They put the money behind the Fresh Fest. The second year, it was actually the first year toward the end, Coca-Cola came about.
Let me ask this, even before Mr. Walker, like what was his background to even know and believe?
His background, he went to Tuskegee, so he went to school with Lionel Richie. When I went down to Atlanta, that's where he's based at. He took me down to Tuskegee and took me to Lionel Richie's mother's house. I met Lionel Richie's mother. He wasn't home. He was out on the road. But I met her, and she loved Ricky Walker. Oh, Ricky. We were talking. She would tell stories. And he was on the road. He ended up being the Commodore's road manager.
Okay, so for people getting that combination, and the Lord knows, I'd have never thought Lionel Richie's would have had some connection with the first Fresh Fest anyway. But, okay, so the Commodores, one of my favorite groups of all time, Motown, definitely one of those Motown acts that are with Motown as it transitions to L.A. Motown. Zoom is, I think, one of my favorite songs ever, and a lot of people love that. And that song, and I think those lyrics propelled Lionel Richie into a lot of his solo success.
Yeah.
Because, like, in 1984, I guess, as Fresh Fest is happening, Lionel Richie, you could arguably be, like,
he was hot.
One of the biggest pop acts in the world at the time. So, like, his best friend almost at this time is extremely successful in the rights of music that people expect or more familiar with, R&B.
And then when you mention Ricky Walker, you also got to put him with the Universal Circus. That's his circus.
Oh, okay.
So when he got out of the hip-hop game, he went and started a circus.
Started the soul
there was something more to that. It was a guy he introduced me to down out in Atlanta who was running one of the big circuses. Either it wasn't Broad and Bailey or Shrine, one of the big circuses. And he would tell Ricky Walker, because I was there for this conversation, they were still talking about, he said, Ricky, you got to do a circus. And this is way before the Universal Circus came about. But when it happened, it brought me back to that day when I was with him, with that old guy in the office, telling Ricky about a circus. And he started thinking, since he's involved with hip-hop, he can make a hip-hop circus.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what Universal felt like of the hip hop energy.
Right. Yeah, hip hop definitely all the way through it.
So the acts and keeping up with them, and you were looking, and I'm guessing your role on the tour. What was your main role on the tour?
I was an advanced promoter.
So you basically would be like if the like in the link in a wing of the tours, like the couple tours I was on, like it would be like this is how it would go. Like it was always Midwest. We would do Chicago. If we had enough luck, we could get something in Gary. And then from Gary, we get something in Grand Rapids. We get something in Grand Rapids, come to Detroit. From Detroit, we go Toledo, Cleveland, Pittsburgh up to New York.
Yeah,
and
they
were swap it out.
Yeah, they were pretty. Most of these were climbing close by. I would do like out of 62, I had like 21 cities.
So you would go like ahead of the tour
show
to promote it with the radio station and the merch.
Right.
And
I had to wear my suit for the business deal, and then I put on my hip hop clothes and hit the streets, hit them at night, get the posters up. They didn't care if I got fined. I could slap some posters on some. I know a couple times I did some places we were not supposed to put posters, and they got fined, and they liked that. Thank you for that. We pay the fine. Get the posters out.
Okay, and let me say this also between me and you, and shout out to Hump all the time. Hump has always been one of my biggest supporters, like back when, this is almost Detroit history now too, but any of my street team work that I've done, and I've done street team work, meaning handing out flyers, getting posters up, I've done street team work in my life and actually still like it. It's, I think, one of the most guerrilla, grassroots, hip-hop ways of marketing something. But people may say, hey, people was doing that back in the church before hip-hop, but and they true about it. But at the same time, like, getting flyers up between you and LaRock, like, getting the styrofoam cups and spelling something out over like an overpass of a freeway and things like that. Like, just we can do creative.
And we had some expensive looking posters. We had the big posters, so I had to keep razor blades with me. I would glue them and then I slice them because people would pull them posters down before they would dry.
Wow!
So if you slice them with the razor blade, they just take a piece and say, "Forget it, anyway, ain't worth it."
Glue them and slice them.
Glue them and slice them.
So that way you wouldn't get all of the posters.
Right? You might not. Just get just a piece, realizing that you can't pull this poster off just wherever I put it at. You know, and then I met a guy who was on the tour. It was three of us doing his promotions. He taught me how to make my own glue because I was buying it from Kmart, the buckets. And he taught me how to do the flour thing with the water and, you know, the right mixer. You don't have to buy no more glue. And just get your own buckets and shoot them. We used to, you know, I would hit like late at night. I go out and hit all the spots.
So let's talk a little bit about them days and them eras, because you're going from city to city. I know people, you in hip-hop clubs and hip-hop places.
Yeah.
How did you even know where to go?
Well, they put me in touch with people. I always had contact. I mean, you figure that somebody coming in town with a show, it's going to be a lot of people that want to work with you. You can easily find people through the radio station. They might know promoters. They know street promoters. So everybody connected me with everybody I needed to meet.
What type of budget did you have to work with these other promoters?
I had a little budget.
Okay, all right.
You know, I can work with. I would pay them, give them comp tickets, pay them a certain fee, but I didn't really pay too many of the street promoters. Some of the guys just wanted to hang out and get me around.
Okay.
The people I had to pay were mostly like program directors from the radio stations, music directors. Those people, they was getting the money because they was controlling a lot of the music being played and a lot of promotions that was going on within their city. So those had to get taken care of, and I knew how to negotiate with them.
From your experience on radio?
Well, not through Ricky Walker. He taught me how to deal with these people.
Oh, break that down, man. Give me some game.
Well, you know, if you on the air, say a lot of times I'm dealing with somebody who's a jock on the radio. He's got an afternoon show. He could be the music director. And, you know, you tell him you're going to take care of him, right? So you push figures on paper. You know, never, he told Ricky Walker said, don't ever put dollar signs. Don't ever write decimal points. Just write numbers. Don't ever say nothing either. Right, cross, You show him the paper. He cross it out. I rewrite something. He cross it out. He rewrites something. It's a little battle. But I knew what the limit was. I knew how high I can go and where I can be comfortable. And then we'll settle on something. But then they have to do what they're supposed to do. There's been times where we worked out a deal. They got half up front. They didn't deliver. They didn't get it anymore. So there were problems in a couple of cities with that. But for the most part, they did what they were doing.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Detroit of it. What was it like, the Cobo Arena show? What do you remember from that?
I remember playing my own song. I had a Tiger record. I had a record called Tiger Party Wave. They had been played on the radio. It was on the scene first. Nat Morris broke it on the scene.
Shout out Nat.
And Cap Ivory did my music track for me. And but I would hum the song, and he got it exactly where I wanted. I had a background singers. I had a record, Tiger Party Wave. And when Ricky Walker said I can get the turntables, well, this was actually on a cassette. I brought a tape deck to play that song to start the set off. And he gave me 2 turntables and a mic. And I had Cobo Arena. I'm like, man, I played all the Detroit fast stuff. See, hip-hop slowed down the dancing in Detroit. If you think about the scene, everything is up-tempo, high energy, fast funk is what I call it.
Yeah,
That was the beat that Detroit was known for. The scene was known for fast music.
actually, I wanna bring up a song from, shout out to Donna of Authentically Detroit podcast. She brought up this song last week, and we do this special event called Detroit Playlist Live now, where we just all collaboratively come together and we make a playlist. And she gave a song, and I never heard this song, but I want to hear your take on it, because this is probably one of those records that you was talking about. Hold on. And that's why I'm looking on my phone. And I do want to get your feedback on this. As you all can obviously see, look up to the OG big time. I mean, to stay at building something as long as Hair Wars has been built, and so many other cultural experiences that you've been connected to, when we think of a lot of Detroit, you're in that mix. Okay, Freaking Fine by Mandre. You remember that song?
I remember that song.
Okay. All right. Freaking Shrines from Mandre was kind of that feel. And then it's another song which people say you probably know Carl Butch Small, but they say Carl was the first person to lay a Detroit rap all together from this song in the playlist, because it was Merciless Amir that let us know that this was the very first Detroit song. And I want to say it was through... they took that down, because now they just got the Felix and Jarvis. It was a song before Felix and Jarvis.
Yeah, one of Felix and Jarvis, Nat Morris' nephew.
Yes.
North Carolina.
Okay.
So, but yeah, the Cobo show was cool because the beat that we were playing, the songs I played, like Fixing It in the Mix, the up-tempo stuff, the pretty Tony Miami music based, I was playing a lot of that. And Detroit loved that music. So when those records came on, the energy went up so high because rap was so slow. So the crowd was going, they were hanging off, the yellow seats were at the top. And I remember looking up, and I seen everybody just hanging over the edges, going, just, Get Off by Foxy, those kind of records. Detroit records. And it was the only time of the show that the beat was so high. So when Run DMC, this is the second year of the tour, I'm going to jump to the second year because Run DMC had a song called Rock It Like This, Rock It Like That. Yeah. Can you rock it like this? Real fast. The only fast song they had, it's like that, that's where it is, 118 beats a minute. This was like in the high 20s, so it's fast. And I told them guys while we were touring, I said, man, y'all should do that Rock It Like This when y'all come to Detroit. And they was like, it must be one of your favorite songs. He thought it was personal. I said, no, Detroit. Mojo was playing this song. He's making his hot as hell in Detroit. And they was played me off a little bit. So I put him on the phone with Mojo one night. I said, because they knew who Mojo was. And then he said, yeah, that song is banging. So they did it in Detroit. The only city that did that song here. Tore the place up. Joe Louis Marina went crazy, man. He said, man, they knew every word. They were talking about they talked about that for a while after that concert date in Detroit. They said, man, Detroit, man, the energy level. But other groups said the same thing about Detroit. about just the energy level we have when it comes to live performances.
So that first Fresh Fest, the artist, and how were you engaged with the artist? Or you was just more so just kind of getting them to radio and stuff like that?
I didn't engage too much with the art other than appointments, interviews, like going to the radio stations, going to the clubs. I would take them around. We would go to parks sometime. I had to make sure that I was with them and had to get to where we had to go. Sometimes they didn't want to go because they got burnt out a little bit. But the Fat Boys never complained. It was some of the other groups that, we got to go to here. We have to go there. There's people waiting. So my job was to get them there and make sure they were taken care of. And also, they itinerary for like the whole day. If I got them for a whole day, I might, I schedule them. Just working, and they work all day. And get to bed real late, pop up in the morning, do a TV show or something like that, the news or a radio station. So my job was to kind of like oversee the promotions, and when they weren't in town, I was doing my own thing.
Did any did any rappers from Detroit make the Fresh Fest show the first or second year or third year?
Never. It was never a guest. It was
always guest. Whatever was packaged.
Yeah, it was just like cookie cutter, man. It was the same exact show every city. No guests.
The Rush Management people, I'm guessing. Houdini?
No, Rush Management was there. Leroy Cohen, you know him? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, he was in charge of the Rush groups, like Houdini, Curtis Blow, Run DMC.
Yep.
Those three groups. That was part of the Rush Management. So the third year, they left the Fresh Fest tour. And because LL Cool J came out. So they called it the Raising Hell tour. They offered me a job. I didn't take it. I knew we was going to get our butts whipped because they had the power. They took the power away from the Fresh Fest for the third year.
Yeah.
And they were showing me, like, Leroy was trying to talk me into working with them. And I said, no, I'm going to stick with Ricky. I was loyal to Ricky. And I went down with the ship, But I thought about it later. I said, yeah, I did the right thing.
I never recognized that the reason the Fresh Fest stopped was because the other tour started, basically.
Yeah, when LL Cool J came, and then he showed me the books. He opened the books for me and showed me the money they was making and the money they could make, when they leave that tour and do their own tour. And so I couldn't be mad at them. They did what they had to do, especially when LL Cool J just got out.
Okay.
And me, I met him in Atlanta. It was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde had a concert in Atlanta.
Okay, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, for people that don't know, that was the group that Andre Harrell was in. Yeah.
Yeah, DJ Galaxy ended up being the president of Motown, Andre. But yeah, they had a show in Atlanta. So me and Ricky Walker went to get him from the airport, pick him up. And they had this little young guy. I remember DJ Galaxy was with him too, but LL Cool J. Of course, I didn't know his name. I got his initials mixed up. He was getting mad at me. He was a little dude he's talking crazy, man. He's out there, man, you don't know me? I'm bad. I said, no, man, never heard of you before. And I kept messing his name up. And he said, man, what kind of name you got? Hump the Grinder. He kept messing with my name. So he said, man, see me tonight. You're going to be at the show, right? See, I'm coming. He said, just see, I'm going to turn it out. I'm going to tear it up. So we went to the venue. We left the airport, went to the venue, and I seen Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde on the marquee real big, and the real little said also LL Cool J. He was real little. You could barely see it. He said, man, I'm going to be big, man. Why? Just see me tonight. So we went to the show. It was canceled. Ticket sales, they didn't sell.
Didn't sell enough.
No. So then I heard him on the radio about 6 months later in Detroit. I said, that's that dude. That's that little crazy talking dude. He's made it. At least the first record.
Shout out to LL Cool J. It's still a shame that I haven't seen him live. Like, I've seen most rappers I want to see. And that last show that he did for Hip Hop 50, when they said Roots and LL, I didn't realize it was the Roots backing LL Cool J. So he's on my list of rappers to see, because even his induction to the Hip Hop Hall of Fame, like, his love for the craft and performance, I think, is bigger than anything. Like, I mean, just even looking at the video of the concert when he, like, unveiled his big radio. Like, LL was...
And for him to go into TV, man, I mean, what moves are that?
Hey, man, a lot of the guys. So this is running concurrent as like, what did you pull from Fresh Fest into Hair Wars? What did you learn?
Learn how to travel with a show. Learn how to do a production on the road, because everything was so by the minute. Like I was doing my shows, At 8:08, the show started. dressing room, every door had, the lineup and the times of the what groups went on. And they didn't miss a beat, man. It was 85 people on the tour. 6 o'clock, dinner time, everybody had to eat at the arena. And so they were ready, man. They took care of business. I learned how to organize and multitask and have the right people running your stuff.
How do you, even to this day, because that's the other thing I marvel at, you have a heck of a team that support what you do. How do you recruit the right people to work with you?
It's hard now because we don't travel as much. We don't travel with the show. When I was traveling with the show, we would do like 10 cities a year for 15 years. So I had to get a crew that was always available. Mm-hmm. It was very expensive, but we were making money. So, to fly everybody out, if we couldn't drive, we would go out west or go down south and do the shows. We had a lot of airfares, a lot of hotels. But I got a good set of people working. Some of them passed away. They get old. My commentator, LaToya Pearson, she was the voice of Hair Wars for a long time, for at least 25 years. And she passed, so it was a big void in there. I couldn't replace her. My stage, the guy who ran the show, he passed away about 5 years ago. So that made me go back to doing a lot of stuff that he was doing. So it kind of got a little overwhelming because it's like 35 people on my staff. And you would think that's a lot of people to run one show. But there's so many little parts that everybody's got to do their thing. Make it work for it. I try to cut payroll, cut the staff, it wouldn't work. I always had to have certain people at certain places. And even for this show, it's a party show. We got a lot of people working because it's all necessary in order to run smooth.
And I've always been like amazed with the way that you bring this together, where the experience is so signature. And it's a lot of other hair shows, like even the non-natural hair show that we do. Like I told you, I was like, look, no, it's only an honor from what we have with our podcast, and we're learning, but I can't wait almost as a field trip this year. I want all my stylists to, from my natural hair show, to eventually come to one of the Hair Wars experiences to like really see the level of production that you've grown upon as the if you haven't ever been to Hair Wars, you need to go. It is a full production. It's theatrical. It is dance. It's music. It's creativity. It's hair design. I guess I like that term now that I'm gonna start using. And like it's black culture like to the 10,000th degree.
So this show is gonna be fancy hair only. Normally we have about like 250 models. We might have a few fancy 30 big dudes. This is all fancy, about 50. And it's going to be a strolling hair show because the DJs are playing. Got two sound stages, one inside, one outside. So it's going to be parties going on. And it's going to be like pop-up hair shows during the party while the party's going on.
Like the original ones were in the beginning.
Somewhere like that, yeah. It was more of a party than it was a show.
Okay.
That's why we got like 5 DJs playing live. I'm playing some old party tracks from my recordings. It's a party with a playlist. Use that word playlist, and I brought that one back because, back in the day we used to have some of the parties, and I would have a playlist for like say an hour. This is what you're going to hear in this hour, starting at 11 o'clock to 12, and you can reserve your dance in advance. You have the song, a blank space next to it. And we would give out pencils with erasers. So you can put in who you want to dance with. That was the whole thing we used to do at the club.
Wait. Time out. I tell you, I get floored every time I talk to Hump. All right, you got to break that down again. Wait.
You come in on the party, you get about half of this size. It'll be songs for an hour.
Yep.
With a space next to it that you can write your dancer. Say you meet a person. It's more for singles. Yeah. You meet somebody, say, hey, any song you like on this list? And you show like a guy, you show the lady the list, and she'll look at it because she got a list too. Can I dance off Erotic City and push the button with you? Write her name down. She writes his name down. So they gonna meet at a certain spot in the club, and we got this dance on. We might do 2 in a row. One guy write same girl for all the dances. And then next thing you know, he's erasing some of them because he met somebody else, So
Can you get 2 sheets? Because then you can be like, hey, you know what I'm saying?
that's what the erasers
You could throw it all thick, like Rachel. Then you'd be like, Rhonda.
So that was called Reserve Your Dance in Advance.
Reserve your dance in advance.
So that's pretty much what we're doing. A little bit of that. I got the playlist of at least 2 hours.
Okay.
Of songs that they're pre-recorded.
I like it.
And you know what time they're gonna come on exactly.
That's interesting.
I mean, some DJs said I cheated, but I didn't cheat. I just I let people know. It's like a lot of other things are pre-programmed. So much stuff is, and we still got our live DJs. But since I'm giving the event, it's kind of hard for me to concentrate on spinning and doing a party. So I just play the tracks.
I think that's interesting because it heightens the interaction between people to even have like a list where you could dance. That's funny.
Well, see, now we don't have to write it down because everybody has phones.
But I'm just saying, just knowing that used to happen, that's hilarious. That is hilarious. So I know I'm going to get somebody from Detroit that's different. Like, I was at one of them parties.
Yeah, we used to have a good time, man, back in the day. And then the people used to come to parties, man. I remember Dr. J came to one of my parties, man. I want to throw, because I got pictures of Dr. J dunking. When I was shooting pictures for my father's show. I got a picture of him dunking on Bob Lanier.
Oh, man.
I mean, Bob was going to block the shot. He curled up at the last minute, and Dr. J is dunking over him. I got that picture. Mm-hmm. And then I got another picture of him blocking Bob Lanier's shot, throwing it in the stands.
Oh, man.
You can see Kobo. All the black people would go to the games back there. You can just see the crowd, Kobo Arena back in the day.
Yeah.
But just to see Doc dancing, I'm DJing. We was at JB's on Park Avenue, which is downtown. Mm-hmm. And a lot of the 76ers, they came to the parties, But it was cool down partying with the basketball players. I did Rick Mahorn's birthday party one time at the Bolingbrook Country Club when it was existing. And a lot of Pistons came. Ron Harper played for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's who they played that night. Yeah. So a lot of the Cleveland players came to the party.
Okay.
And he wanted to get on my turntables. I'm playing Bobby Brown, my prerogative. He says, "Man, that's my record. I'm a DJ too, man. I can work that record, man. Come on, let me get the tables." I said, "Come on, man. I don't ask to dribble your basketball."
Hilarious.
So let me do my thing.
That's funny. That is funny. That's funny. You was in the partying with Brad Daugherty and all them and Larry Gaines.
Them guys, yeah.
You said so that was like World B. Free and all them guys.
Yeah, yeah. Back in the day, man.
All right, so you add so much of this to this mix and continuing being creative. What is it like engaging with some of the younger people such as myself? And I forgot to finish that story about you helping us with the flyer thing. So I've had him as a guest on the show too, Von Arrington, that now works with so many political campaigns. Like I know he's pounding. I mean, he's traveling the country doing political stuff. But you were one of the first people to give us a contract with our group, Human Flyer. With Von. I don't know if you remember this a couple years ago. And I told Von, I was like, look, this my OG. When you talk to him, he going to have a lot of work. And he going to have more flyers than we could ever deliver. So let's make sure that we cover it and we go places because he knows what it feels like and where it doesn't feel like, especially because these stylists are in these neighborhoods. So if he says we need to work East 7 Mile, he'll know whether we work in East 7 Mile or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like I can take some West Side, if you can take some East Side, and we can figure this whole thing out.
All right.
I just wanted to tip my hat to you again for working with us as we started, and that's gone to, it's out of here actually. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like with some of the stuff he's doing and working on in outreach still kind of from street teamwork, grassroots promotions.
Right.
You know?
That's what it's all about, man.
Yeah, man.
Getting to the people,
So engaging. How do you keep the relationships growing and going with younger people with new ideas and different ways and different approaches to like deliver on the creativity that you've been delivering?
Well, it's not as easy because the new generation, like as far as the hair industry, they want instant success. They want things to happen right away. So I have a few. I don't have many. That's why it's hard to keep the same level of creativity with the hair because of the fact that the younger generation is not really putting in the work.
Interesting.
Because they, like I said, they're used to instant things happening right away. They want to be a star right now. As the OGs, they developed, it took years for them to kind of get where they got, to get where they wanted to be.
So let's talk a little bit about that. So So like back in the day, you would say like a stylist, because you've toured everywhere with this, but like with a stylist, it would maybe take 4 or 5 years, 6, 7. Like what was usually the timetable as they're learning?
Well, it was different lengths of time depending on how aggressive they were and how much they wanted to get out of their own neighborhood. Because we did more educational tours than we did hair shows around the country. I did like at least 25 cities, where I would take stylists from Detroit. Those are the ones that progress real fast. I take them on the road. If they had a hairstyle that people wanted to see, they were in magazines. That helped. Hair Design Magazine, Billy Kason. His book helped me out because when I had somebody from Detroit on the road to do a hair class, they were already known from the book. So it made it easier for me to promote them. But it's just the fact that the ones who wanted to go on the road, and you had to have something to sell, like DVDs, before that, cassette, videotapes. You could make a lot of money off of selling styles. And that's how a lot of Detroit people got popular, because they would go into the city, teach all these people. It was my job to fill up the room. At least 100, 200, 300 people would come watch. Hands-on. Not hands-on, but look and learn how to do this style. And then it started getting popular, so I would bring them back. So we might go to Chicago 3 or 4 times with the same person. And they were building their clientele in certain cities. Like certain cities, some of the Detroit people got so big, then they made more money out of town than they did here. Because they had built up their name. But they had to put their work in, though. They had to advertise, like they had, promote themselves, too. They had to spend a little money. They had to invest in themselves. And that's something now with social media, I think they think it's not necessary to invest in other than their pages on social media.
I that's good to hear, and I just wanted you to expand on that. And I do think that, social media does provide a lens into a gateway to an audience, but it's not every audience, because everybody ain't on social media. Or
you still gotta get in their face. See, if you're on social media, every hairstyle is on social media. So what's gonna make you different?
I was gonna say
get in their face, teach them something.
I was gonna say I look at it more as a reminder to something, but we want to hit on multiple levels. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like sometimes it just, I don't think it's making that connection all the way, because it's really word of mouth that you want.
Right. And then when people give other hair shows in other cities, they would reach out to some of the ones who were aggressive and fly them in or bring them into their city to be a guest, and they get paid for that. And there's all kind of different ways of making money. Companies hire me to find somebody to do certain styles. Like there's one company we just finished a style for. I can't talk about it because can't even show it because of the confidentiality agreement. But they'll pay for wild styles. Like just the company just paid $5,000 for one hairstyle. It was a big giant mohawk with the company logo that lit up, and stylists get paid for that. I'm like a hair agent. I just set it up and let them do the work.
There you go.
And it's opportunities. There's still hairstylists can make money. They can work on plays, do the movie, work music videos. Music videos really didn't really connect with me. I was trying to get a lot of artists, the hip hop artists, to get some of his hairstyles in their videos, and they kind of like blew me off a little. They never did get with it. I thought it would have been good to have some of these big hairdos represent Detroit in some of the videos or even live performances. But
I remember that idea too. That's kind of how we initially, through Tyrone Bradley, met. Man, that may have been like 90. That may have been 2001. I don't know. A minute ago.
Okay.
So, I think sometimes just the connection of where people are thinking and being more creative, like the creativity outpacing where people are at. And I've always been just amazed at how your creativity always is like outpacing where it seems like people think what could happen. And now as you get into more of the iterations, because you used to do the show multiple times, even a year, multiple places, as things transition, how do you keep with the archive? How do you keep with the legacy of it? Because right now it's almost like, I'm sure you could do a Hair Wars Hall of Fame at this point,
Well, I got a weekly show, Hair Wars Around the World. I still interview stylists. I've interviewed over 100 hairstylists, and they tell their stories. And I'm keeping in touch with people through the show, showing old highlights from shows, any current news that people in the hair industry need to know about. I try to plug that in, and that's that's how I keep in touch with all these people who I've met over the years through the online show. Because I'm not traveling. I try every now and then on the road. Somebody might bring us in to do a show, and we'll bring like a shorter version of Hair Wars. We'll bring them like to the museums in New York. We did that a couple times. We went to the MoMA, and we did a show there. But that was back in 2018. But they promote it. They pay us to come in and put on a show. And those are things that I want to keep. The stylists that are still active, I'm going to keep them busy, And like we did a thing with, in 22, in December, we did Noel Night with the Midtown Detroit. We did on the lawn of the DIA. We did the North Lawn. They had a big giant tent. And we had like 10 hairstylists, and we did a 4-hour show.
That's cool.
And that was a whole different clientele, a white audience, basically. The Noel night crowd.
I know they would definitely like.
Man, they didn't know. Yeah, and we put a lot of styles on them, the attendees. That was part of our thing. We had a whole lot of different styles. Everything was holiday based. It was a holiday hair show. It was
cool.
Hair Wars, holiday hair wars, and it was all holiday based hairstyles. And lights, trees, and anything connected to Christmas.
So, and as this creativity continues to like build and go, and we're definitely looking forward to July 20th. What do you see next? Because you always are staying ahead of the game. What do you see next?
Next is taking us over to Europe. We had a couple of bites. Like the European media have come here. Some of them different crews from different countries, from like France, Germany, even Japan. They came in and they went back and showed their story. But we haven't been over there live, and I think if we get the right connections, we'll be over this overseas. I mean, I don't want to work at the pace I used to work at.
Okay.
I'm kind of semi-retired, man. That was a hectic pace. I look back and say, man, I was on the road like for my life. Half my life I'm on the road living.
Hey.
But now I'm more relaxed. I enjoy doing the internet show. And spacing it out, we don't do as much because it's a lot of work. And my crew kind of, separated a little bit because they got older and they retired and some passed away. So it's hard to replace all the key people. And the sponsors, it's hard to keep them too.
I can imagine.
I get a lot of promises for sponsors. Oh, yeah, I'm going to hook you up, man. Put me down for a package. Come down to it, I'm financing the show. So I use my photography company as one of my sponsors, Grinder Photos 313. I've been shooting a lot of pictures lately.
Okay.
I put a studio up at the office at the Hair Wars headquarters.
Okay.
And I shoot a lot of studio stuff. I just shot it Saturday. I got another one Wednesday. So I'm doing photo shoots with models that I'm meeting online.
Okay.
In different photo groups.
Cool.
And people say, oh, you're not a photographer. You're a DJ or you're a Hair Wars producer. So, no, you don't know. I've been shooting a long time. I just haven't.
Say with your dad, you were shooting.
Yeah, I was shooting back then. But and photographers that I hire, because I hire photographers to shoot Hair Wars. At least about 6, 7, 8 photographers, and some of them don't know that have any experience with photography. And I just let them talk, and I listen to them, and I let them talk some more, and I would see if they, if they really know what they're talking about.
Chops are.
So yeah, it's been good though, man, and I like the fact that I can shoot a little bit more because I got more time to do that. Especially since COVID, I started amping it up more, doing more shoots. So, I do photo shoots a lot too. That keeps me busy.
I love it, man. Keeping creative. So the European tour, I could easily see just the relationship between so many cities in Germany that follow a lot of Detroit culture.
Yeah, Detroit, like so Detroit techno. They love Detroit over there.
Yeah, I could imagine that Germany would go crazy for this, and Paris, actually.
Yeah, right. So it's just about getting the right hookup, and we'll be ready. I know who I would like to take over there. We got some players still doing it.
Okay.
Still doing that big crazy hair.
All right. So with that, man, how do people connect to the show? Let them know that.
They can go online. It's Hair Wars US Tour, hairwarsustour.com, and they can 24/7. Usually I have a show every Monday. Sometimes I show a show 2 weeks in a row. Depending if we got big numbers, I'll let it ride another week, but you'll get a chance to meet a lot of these people in the hair business, hear their stories because all of them have stories, man. Nobody has lost the words. when they talk about themselves in the hair business, like this.
I
But
can imagine.
that's good. I mean, I let them talk because they got something to say, and then you can connect through there.
Cool. All right, with that, now I gotta ask you some classic questions. I'm gonna mix this one up because you I know you so much. So classic question that I would have for you. All right. I'm gonna start with the one that's usually in the middle. You DJing the end of the Detroit fireworks. Woodward and Jefferson. You get to play 3 songs. What songs you playing?
Let's start the dance.
Okay.
Bad times.
Okay.
And fix it in the mix.
All right. Okay. Now, for the person that's coming to their first Hair Wars experience, and it's gonna be the July 20th show, right? And they thinking to themselves, where do I go? How do I dress? How do I come? What's the flyest way they can come into a Hair Wars experience?
Okay, the flyest way they can come is to dress like they belong on stage. That's what we tell people. It's okay to be different. Short is different, right?
There we go.
Say it's okay to be yourself, be original. Nobody's gonna look at you crazy, and you might even get caught on stage. Some of the people dress it, because people see people in the audience like, I must have missed you, but they were never on the show, but they came to
Ready
fit
to
in.
be
Yeah,
seen.
yeah, because if they really creative people, that's what I look for. Like I was at the Tech, I had a booth at the Tech Detroit. Over the Herman Kiefer last weekend. I was there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, just trying to recruit the right people to come to Hair Wars. If I see somebody with a certain look, or a certain hair color, or a certain dancer, I got to get them there. So I was working that crowd. I had some people working with me too.
All right, and now the last question. All right, so you mentioned Europe and everything. What venue anywhere in the world outside of Detroit do you think would be so cool for Hair Wars to happen? The venue, not the city per se, it's the venue.
That's a hard one. I think it's a place in Greece. You got the Shakespearean containers like they were doing at the Herman Kiefer. They turned into a containing globe. Where they got it's like a mini theater of to show your arts.
Yeah.
And it's really unique because it's made out of containers. And it's a venue. I'm not sure exactly where it's at, but I believe it's in Greece. And when I seen pictures of it, I seen Hair Wars in there.
And it's so funny you mentioned that because I was just going to leave you with this. As people are getting more in these immersive experiences, I think Van Gogh came here twice and something like with Disney came. I think an immersive Hair Wars experience would be so cool.
Yeah, because I look at some of these things on TV, these award shows and the special effects that they have. We don't have that.
Not yet.
No, not yet.
There
But that would be so it would kill it because of what we can bring with that together.
Yeah.
But it would flip it upside down.
Like the immersive dome, because I've seen my friend Strolling did something like that where he's bouncing the imagery through the projectors.
Right.
I'm going to introduce you to some of the people I know, and we're going to see
All right.
what we can do on that, man. That'll be
Okay.
fun. But as always, Hump, thank you so much, man. Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure, Kari. Yeah. I love your show. Love what you're doing. Keep going, man. Keep going with it.
Yes, sir. All right.
All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Detroit is Different is where you get information, artistry, history, music, and even comedy. Detroit is Different, a home for the culture of Detroit. Visit online at DetroitisDifferent.com today.